save our nation's economy. It is no secret that this country is struggling financially, and I think that it is very important that this problem quickly finds an answer. Currently, our system works in a way where the middle class takes on the majority of the financial burden through their payment of taxes. I plan to keep the Bush administration tax cuts for the middle and lower classes while raising taxes on the top 2% of Americans. The excess income will help our nation decrease the deficit. I plan to better regulate government spending in regards to social programs and the military. I believe these implementations will bring us back to the AAA plus financial credibility standards and continue to stimulate our economy. The revenue that taxes brings to the government is very significant and is a necessity. The taxes we pay go towards schooling, public assistance, transportation, and healthcare and state budgets. Providing enough funding to cover all these areas of government takes a large amount of income, and the majority of the funding comes from our taxes. The middle class provides most of this money, even though they may not have that much to spare. This is why I believe the top 2% of Americans should begin to take on more of the financial burden in order to pay for the governmental programs that this country views as a necessity. These are the fortunate people that can afford to pay high taxes without limiting their lifestyle. Many middle-class families live from paycheck to paycheck, constantly working to make ends meet. I think that these people deserve to enjoy the tax cuts they have now, because their hard work is what keeps this country running. It goes without saying that the poor should not have to put their small amount of finances into this system because they do not have the opportunity to properly provide for themselves already. Tax cuts on the middle and lower classes are essential to keep our economy running smoothly so that the markets will continue to flourish. These are the people driving the economy, so in order to reduce the national deficit, it is very important to maintain a healthy economy first. Raising taxes on the top 2% of Americans will work to decrease the debt as well. The top 1% of Americans are making over $500,000 a year, while the top 5% are making over $230,000 a year. Allowing taxes to be raised on the top 2% would include a small percentage of the American population that is financially capable of bearing the burden of increased tax rates. I also have plans to regulate social programs more strictly in order to avoid wasting money. I plan to implement greater restrictions for people who are receiving welfare. I want to ensure that people are not abusing this necessary system. I will ensure that every citizen who receives income from the welfare system truly cannot work and is completely unable to work. Every person currently relying on welfare will be reevaluated, and we will set standards in order to determine which individuals are still in need of aid. A strong military is essential to our national security, and an efficient military was equally as beneficial to the nation's economy. By investing in specialized military programs such as Special Forces and, for example, SEAL Team 6, we will be able to decrease military spending in order to allow governmental money to go to other areas. I want to see America as a place of prosperity if I am elected president. The middle and lower classes will continue to keep the economy moving at a smooth pace until it is restored to the way it was before the stock market crash. The top 2% of Americans will help us decrease our national debt and bring America back to being the world's greatest superpower. As with the new standards regarding social programs and military spending, essential government spending will be limited. Together, we will pay off the national debt and bring America back to the AAA plus credibility standard rating. Thank you.
Okay.
How do you plan to reevaluate those applying for unemployment?
People who have welfare or on the welfare system, they'll be investigated by government employees, which will have to be funded by some taxpayer money. And they will be investigated to see if they are actually abusing the welfare system. As you all know, there are stories of people who are just on welfare because they're too lazy to find a job and they view it as free money. And we hope to root out these people so that government money does not go to the people who do not deserve it or do not need it.
would you agree with the deal that was just made by the Democrats and Republicans with the fiscal cliff, 400,000 for individuals and 450 for couples?
Yeah, I would agree with that deal. It targets really the top earners in the American economy, and although these people are major components of the economy, they do have the financial capabilities of burdening the increased tax rates while still not by not losing the consumer power to continue to stimulate the economy. The middle class makes up a large portion of the consumer force, and these people, by not having these increased tax rates, can keep putting money back into the economy through consumerism.
What would you raise the tax rate to for the top 2%?
Top 2%, probably 40%. This is a rate that I feel would bring vast sums of income to the American government while not limiting the upper middle class's ability to invest and be a major contributor to the nation's economy.
So do you plan on cutting the taxes on the middle and lower class, or just keeping them as they are now?
We're going to keep the Bush administration tax rates at what they are. I don't believe that cutting tax rates anymore for those two classes is a viable option at this point in the current state of the nation's economy.
Republicans consistently say that if you keep, I don't know if you remember, they wanted to do it $1 million or more, because they say anybody making under $1 million, if they own a small business and you increase taxes on them, you're hurting those small businesses. Do you agree with that philosophy, or do you still stick with the 450,000?
I still believe in the tax rates for increased tax rates for people over 400 or 450,000, but I think it's important to evaluate how they're contributing to the economy with their small businesses. Now, if these small businesses follow certain energy incentives or include certain healthcare benefits for their employees, then they could receive some sort of tax reduction in order that the increased tax rates are not so much of a burden to their small business.
And you guys are not helping. Come on. You talked a little bit about social programs. Are you cutting any besides, it sounded like you were going to kind of reform welfare. Is there anything you're going to do like Medicare or Medicaid or Social Security or any of those things?
I think those three social programs are important to the U.S., but by reforming the welfare system to make sure that it's people who actually need welfare are getting it, not these launderers who are trying to just cheat the system and gain free money. That by eliminating those people, hopefully we could reach a point where the welfare system does not have to be overhauled completely in order to have a efficient system, and that welfare cuts do not have to be met.
Right, besides taking off like welfare, the people who are like cheating the system, are you gonna like make a punishment for them, or like how are they gonna?
Well, I think that by taking them off the system, it's punishment in themselves, but if they've been drastically or have been damaging to the U.S. economy by cheating welfare for an extended period of time, or doing it in multiple states, or any of those things, that they should have some sort of punishment.
As the baby boom generation gets set to retire and go on Social Security and go on Medicare, do you think that the top 2% tax revenue will be able to pay for that?
I do. Raising taxes on the top 2% of the people by about 4% creates trillions of dollars of income to the U.S. government. And while with the Obamacare bill, there will be increased costs for these retired people, but the financial burden from being that the top 2% will bear should be able to provide for the retired baby boomers.
So when you take all these people off of Social Security, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna have like programs to help them, or are you just gonna like leave them jobless?
Well, there are programs available now to help people find jobs, and America prides itself on individualism. So these people have had a chance to get jobs and find it, but it's up to them. They have to take the incentive to find a way to work, and in this nation's economy, it is difficult to find a job. But if you try hard enough, and if you, with the government programs that are in place now, some people should be able to find jobs.
Last two questions.
You said that the raising the tax rate on wealthy will raise, trillions of dollars, specifically how much money will it raise?
It has to be looked at by financial experts, depending on the income levels that people have in the progressive years, so it's not entirely sure how much money it would raise, but it should raise enough revenue to provide financing for the retiration of baby boomers.
Will you implement a time limit someone can spend on welfare?
There are timelines in place already. I believe it's 6 months. People have 6 months until, if they're unemployed, to find a job. If these people try to cheat the system after that, this will be more strictly enforced, so that this timeline is in place already, and it will be enforced, so that wasteful government spending, these people who just are either too lazy or don't believe that they have the capabilities of getting a job can be implemented.
And what if they can't find a job after that time period?
There are, as we see now, the nation's unemployment rate is just 7.8%. And with the increased tax rates, our economy should be able to recover. And with the recovering economy, more jobs will open. And these people, hopefully with the recovering economy, will be able